Hello there. I am so excited that you're here to join me for today's webinar. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen really quick so you can see what we're talking about here. There we go. I am really excited to talk to you today about goal setting. Today, I'm recording this on January 31st of 2023. And so we've kind of just started, we have a new year, and goals are something that's definitely on a lot of our minds right now. Some of us have made New Year's resolutions. So that's what we're going to talk about for the next few minutes. But first off, I want to introduce myself for anyone that is not familiar with me. My name is Chris Rich, and I am a certified life coach. I do general coaching, so any area that you want to improve your life, or if you're stuck feeling a certain emotion, or you just kind of feel like you're in a rut, any area where you want to improve your life. I also do mixed faith relationship coaching as well. And a lot of times when I tell people that I'm a life coach, they say, "Oh, that's awesome." And they go, "What's a life coach?" So I want to start off by just telling you what that is really quick. And a lot of times people will ask, "What's the difference between a life coach and a therapist?" So let's talk about what a therapist is first off. So I might call a therapist if I felt like I wasn't functioning at my base level, that it was things were just kind of hard. And that could be for a lot of different reasons. It could be because of a significant life event, like a divorce, a big move, a death, a just a big life change. That could be something that would leave me feeling like, oh, I'm not really functioning where I normally would be. Could be because of mental illness, or perhaps trauma from a past event would be a good reason for me to reach out to a therapist. A therapist is trained to help people in all these different situations. And a lot of the focus is working through a past event, so a past trauma or a past significant event. And I am so thankful for good therapists. And I'm thankful for the therapists that I've seen that's helped me to get back to where I wanted to be. And I hope that if you are struggling with any of those things, that you will take the time to find someone that can help you with that. So interesting. If I had a toothache, I would not hesitate to find a dentist that could help me. But for some reason, we think of our mental health as different. And I want to encourage you to take care of your mental health as much as you would your physical health. Okay, so what's a life coach? That's me. I'm a certified life coach. So the clients that come to me are already functioning at base level. And it may be because they have been working with a therapist. So they feel like they've got the tools to get them up to that base level. As a life coach, my clients come to me because they're looking to improve a certain aspect of their life or multiple aspects of their life. Maybe they feel like they're stuck or they're in a rut, or perhaps they're feeling an emotion that they just feel like they're irritated all the time, or maybe they're just they know they're not dealing with a mental illness, but it's just like they're just kind of blah. So people come to me to get help with their emotions. No one ever teaches us what to do with our emotions. We know what to do so we don't have to feel them, but a lot of times that doesn't serve us very well. So a coach can help you with your emotions. I help people with relationships. Maybe that's your partner, your parent, your child, a coworker, just any area where you're trying to improve a relationship. Self-esteem, goal setting, weight loss, any area that you want to improve your life. And as a coach, I work with people in the present and in the future. So it may be that we do look at a past event, but we look at it as, how do I want to, that happened, now what? Where do I want to go from here? Or, it's just we focus on the present and the future. I like to think of as a coach as another set of eyes. It's really easy to get tunnel vision and we see things just from our perspective. A coach can help you look at a couple different ways of viewing things. And the thing that I love about coaching is I consider you the expert of your life. I don't know what you should do, but I can help you figure out what you want to do so you know what you should do. So it's just looking at some different viewpoints to help you figure out what you want to do because you are the expert in your life. And a life coach and therapist, a lot of times their tools might look very similar. It's just we have different training in those specific areas. So thank goodness for both of them. Okay, so let's talk about goals. That's why we're here tonight. You know how they have all those days, like there's National Hot Dog Day and National Sibling Day. Well, did you know there's a National Quitting Day? I had never heard of this until recently. It is the second Friday in January, which is so interesting because we set our goals, our New Year's resolutions at the beginning of the year, and 2 weeks in, they're finding this article that I read. The people that they surveyed said that 2/3 of those people had already given up on their goals by 2 weeks into the year. And so if you have given up on a goal before, I want you to take heart. You're not the only one. So we want to look at some things that you can do to help so you can achieve your goals. Okay, so the first question that I like to think of is why am I setting the goals that I'm setting? And I think this is really important to understand our why behind why we're doing anything, and goals included. Because sometimes we set goals because we think that we are not enough and we're not good enough. We are not thin enough. We're not talented enough. We're not motivated enough. We're not happy enough. We are not educated enough, or maybe we are not rich enough. And I want you to notice from all these different examples that I've just shared, there's this sense of lack that I need to set a goal because I'm not good enough. I'm not meeting some metric. But when we set goals from this space of lack, let's use the example of weight loss. If I keep thinking I'm not thin enough, when I'm thinking that, it feels very discouraging. And when I feel discouraged, I don't make choices that are going to help me to become my best self. So if I'm making goals out of lack, it's probably not going to help me get the results that I want. So I just want you to check in with that. Why are you setting your goals? If you're setting it because you're not good enough, I would consider talking to a coach about that. And I want you to go back. I know you don't remember when you were born, but maybe you have held a newborn baby before. Maybe you're a parent, or you can think back to when you held a baby. And when a human being is born, they come to this life as a whole, complete, lovable, amazing, valuable human that is full of infinite worth. And I know when I'm the mother of 3 kids, I know when my babies were born, I was just instantly smitten. I was just in love with this amazing little human. And I didn't look at them and think, well, if you had more hair, then you'd be better. Or if you weren't so chubby, or maybe if you had some more teeth, I wasn't looking at them thinking that they should be any different than they were. And I think it's so interesting because now all of us have some more experience and some age since when we were born, but so many of us feel like we've lost this, that we're not whole and complete and all those things. But I want you to question that. I want you to think about this. Nothing has changed in your worth and your amazingness and your lovability. You may look different and have different experiences, but nothing has changed since when you were born. You still are all of these things. So when we set goals, I like to think of it I like just with that base, knowing that as a human being, that I am amazing, whole, and complete, just like you, exactly how you are right this very minute. So when I set a goal, I'm not doing it because I'm not good enough. I'm already awesome. And now I get to be the next version of myself. So I like to think of it as you 2.0. What can you become? What is the next version of yourself? And I like to set goals just to see what I can do. What can I create? How far can I push myself? What good can I put into the world? And that energy feels so different than if I am coming at it from that I'm not good enough. It's a very different energy, and it's kind of fun to go and with that energy instead. I have a couple questions that I like to ask when I'm setting goals. And the first one is, when I look at my life, how it is right now, all the things that I'm doing, what are the things that I want to keep doing? Also, what do I want to stop doing? Maybe there's some things that I'm doing that really aren't helping me to get the results I want in my life, not out of shame or because I'm not a good person or because I'm not good enough, but just like, yeah, that's not so helpful. What could I stop doing? And the third question, what do I want to start doing? What are some things that I could add to my life, my already awesome life, because I'm an awesome human, just like you? What could I start doing that would help me to become the next best version of myself, that would help me put more goodness into the world? So I love these questions. So for me, what are some things I want to keep doing? Well, I'm pretty good at exercising at least 5 days a week. That's just something that it's a habit for me that I do. I also, every morning I wake up and I drink a big glass of water. That's something that I think is super helpful. Every single night I floss my teeth before I go to bed, no matter what. I have my spiritual practices that really serve me well. I have a practice of gratitude and prayer and spiritual study that really helps me. And it's something that I want to hang on to, that I want to keep doing. Also, I'd like to stretch when I wake up in the morning before I go to bed. I know that's good for my body, so I'm going to hang on to those things. There's a lot of other things too, but it just gives me a chance to look and recognize the good that I'm doing and to celebrate it. Like, these are great things that I'm doing. The next question, what do I want to stop doing? And once again, this isn't from judgment or because I'm not enough. It's just like, yeah, that's not so helpful. I waste time on social media. Not a lot of it, but I could be more intentional with my time. A lot of times I stay up past 10:30 and I really know that my sleep is important, and a lot of times it's because I'm on social media. And I'm kind of in this habit after Christmas and New Year's that I'm just kind of eating whatever treats I want whenever I want. And I know that doesn't serve my body. I feel better when I don't do that. So that's something I want to look at. And the third question, what do I want to start doing? Well, for me, I want to make sure that I read from a book every single day. And I want to make sure that I'm calling my dad more. My dad is awesome. He's almost 90 years old, and I do a good job of reaching out to him every week, but I know I won't regret reaching out to him more. So that's something that I want to do more. I also want to take a weekly look at my finances. I want to go through my emails and do that once a week instead of waiting until I have 800 emails to go through. And also my photos. I get so many photos on my phone that each week, if I go through and delete the ones that I don't need, then I'll be all set and I won't have a whole bunch to deal with. So those are some of the things that I want to start doing. I want you to think about, for you, what do you want to keep doing? What do you want to stop doing? And what do you want to start doing? And I want you could get a sheet of paper and just divide it into 3 columns and answer those questions. This can be super helpful. So when you know the goals that you want to work on, or maybe you already have some goals, one of the first things that I like to think of that is super helpful is to meet yourself where you're at. And what I mean by that, let's say that you love Oreos, that you're eating X number of Oreos every day, and you feel like that's probably more than you want to be eating. So a lot of times we take a goal and we just totally go to the opposite end. So we think, oh, I'm just going to eat kale every single day. So when I'm meeting myself where I'm at, this is going to be kind of a big jump for me. So I think it's really important that we don't make goals as a punishment because remember, I'm amazing and whole and complete exactly how I am. And I can do better if I want to. And it's going to come better. If I meet myself where I'm at with love, then I don't have to see this as a punishment because I remember that I'm amazing exactly as I already am, just like you are. So maybe maybe I'm eating a sleeve of Oreos every day. So maybe instead of going cold turkey and getting rid of all the Oreos, I just find something that is more that maybe I just eat a serving of Oreos or I cut it down to half of the amount that I was eating. So I do something that I meet myself where I'm at. Okay, I don't know if you guys saw this, but on my Instagram and Facebook at the end of 2022, there were a lot of people that shared how many books they had read throughout the year. And I saw that and I was like, well, I stink because I probably only read 2 or 3 books in the whole year. And I had friends saying that they had read 50, 60 books in the year. So I started comparing myself to them and thinking like, oh, I should read more books. But then I checked in with myself and I was doing it because I felt like I wasn't good enough at that. It was something an area where I was lacking. And then so this was something where it was like, okay, I do want to read, but I want to read because it's important to me and I enjoy it. It's just something I don't make as much time for as I used to. So I want to be realistic with it. So instead of making a goal like I am going to read a chapter every day or I'm going to read a book a week or something like that, for me is unrealistic. For you, that might not be an issue. And we can apply this to any goal. But instead of saying I'm going to do this every single day or if I set a goal that's too big for me, what ends up happening is I might have a couple good days where I'm like, okay, but then the first day that I don't do it, then I'm going to beat myself up and be like, oh, see, that's why I never read. This is why I shouldn't have made this goal. And we just kind of jump ship. So instead of doing that, I have a tool that I love and I call it under promise and over deliver. So for me, I made a goal this year that I was going to read 1 page, just 1 page every single day. And as I've done this, and I have successfully done this every day for 31 days now, you'd think that I would be on page 31 in my book. Well, actually, I believe I'm on page 270. So what has happened, there have been a couple of days where it's just like, okay, I only have 2 minutes, so I'm just reading 1 page. But there have been a lot of days where it was like, I'm really enjoying this. And I ended up reading a lot more. So when I under promise and make a very realistic goal, then most of the time I over deliver. And when I do that, it helps me to build momentum and I keep going with that goal. And then I'm going to end up I'm going to get more out of it than I would have had I set some giant goal that I really wasn't going to keep. And the other thing about this is when I keep a commitment to myself, it feels good. I've done this every day for 31 days. And the fascinating thing, if I made a commitment with you, if I agreed to meet you for a coaching call or for lunch or something, I'm going to be there. I'm not going to just be like, yeah, I'm too tired or I just don't want to do this. But we do that to ourselves all the time. We make a commitment and then we don't keep it. So when we under promise and make the commitment small enough, then we keep those commitments to ourselves and we build a relationship of trust with ourselves. And that is a beautiful thing, my friends. Okay, the next part, and these all kind of go together. I want you to set goals with love for yourself. So think of your future self tomorrow that is going to need to do this goal. So oftentimes we have a goal. Let's say that you're currently a couch potato and you're just exercise is not your thing. That's totally okay. That's just where you're at. So if you have a goal to exercise, a lot of times we make these giant goals, like almost comparable to being an Olympic runner. Like I'm going to go from this to a marathon, or sometimes we make these goals so lofty, but we forget that if we don't make our goals out of love, we go back into that kind of that punishment mentality, or that we just set a goal that we're really going to have a hard time achieving. So instead of making a massive goal, make it out of love, something that's doable, something like, think of I love going on walks with friends. That's one of my favorite things to do. So find something that you love and you enjoy. Maybe it's Zumba, maybe it's a totally different type of exercise. You don't have to do what everyone else does. Find something that you love and enjoy and make it pleasurable. So you're going to want to work on that goal. Okay, so those are some of the tips that we can do to help us with our goals. One of the questions a lot of times I think about is, why do we want to give up on our goals? Well, I know sometimes, like, I make a goal to eat healthy and I think, well, I'm going to feel amazing. Or maybe you're wanting to run a 5K or something. And we make this goal and we think this is going to be awesome and I'm going to feel motivated and I'm going to feel good all the time. So then we start doing the goal and we expect that it's going to feel different than it really does. And I want to share something that has been very helpful for me with my goals. Our brain is motivated by three things, and I call this the motivational triad. Our brain wants to seek pleasure, to avoid pain, and it wants to be really efficient. There's a lot of ways like this really helps us. It helps us to stay alive. It helps us to have children and to eat food, to take care of our bodies. It helps us to stay safe. So there's a lot of times when this is super helpful, but there's sometimes where we have our brain kind of throws a temper tantrum if it's not getting what it wants. So let me give you an example of this. Let's say that you have a goal to eat healthy. Well, if our brain wants to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and be efficient, I'm going to just look at these two items through that lens. So if my brain wants to seek pleasure, Cheetos or apple? Well, I don't know about your brain, but my brain loves Cheetos. So it's going to vote for Cheetos. It's pleasurable. Okay, it wants to avoid pain. Well, if I don't eat the Cheetos, then I'm going to have to sit with that urge or that desire and that wanting. And so my brain's like, no, not going to go for that. And also it wants to save energy. Well, with this apple, I might have to get up off the couch, go wash it, maybe peel it, slice it. My brain's thinking, this bag of Cheetos would be so much easier. So that doesn't mean that I'm going to just go in and eat the Cheetos. I just want to know that that is what my brain is looking for. It wants to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and be efficient. So I just want to go into that when I'm wanting to eat healthy. I just want to go into it knowing that my brain's probably going to throw some temper tantrums. And sometimes I'm going to need to say, I know you want the Cheetos, but we're going to eat the apple. Or maybe we're just going to have a couple of those Cheetos. So I just want to know that that's what my brain does. Okay, let's look at another example. I can either sit on the couch, my comfy couch with Netflix, or I can go on a run. So if I'm looking through it with this motivational triad lens, my brain's saying, okay, I want to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and be efficient. Well, what's pleasurable? That lady looks pretty happy on her couch, just enjoying her life. She's very comfortable. Okay, is it possible? Which one could potentially be more painful? The running. You're going to be out of breath. You might get shin splints. You might get a blister. All these things your brain is going to be offering you. And the other thing, if your brain wants to save energy and to be efficient, well, if you go on a run, you're going to have to go change your clothes, go find your sneakers. Your sports bra might be in the washer. You're going to have to go find that. So your brain's like, no, this is a terrible idea. So we just want to remember that our brain is going to be telling us, no, thanks. Netflix sounds so much better. This doesn't mean that we're going to give in to Netflix. We just want to recognize that it might not feel amazing to go through with my goal. In fact, we can plan on our brain having these temper tantrums, and we can just answer our brain like, I know you want to sit here and watch Netflix, but I've made a goal to exercise 2 times this week, and I'm going to do it anyway. I think so often we wait for the motivation, like I thought I'd be motivated, and we wait for it to come. Sometimes we just have to do it anyway, but just knowing that that is what our brain is going to do. And if your brain does this, it's totally normal, just like the rest of the humans. So we can take that motivational triad and use it in our favor, just knowing that if my brain wants to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and be efficient, then I might want to consider making my goals easy, fun, and pleasurable. So what can I do? So let's take the exercise example again. What can I do to make it easy? Well, maybe I have my exercise clothes already out for the morning. They're already laid out. What can I do to make it fun? Maybe I can go with a friend, or maybe I can go to a group fitness class. And what would make it pleasurable? Well, maybe I find some new sneakers, or I listen to my favorite podcast while I'm out exercising. So what can I do to work with my brain instead of against my brain? That can be super helpful. The other thing that I want to share with you is with our goals, so often we look to our past. Like, I tried to lose weight in the past, but I just couldn't do it. Or it's easy to look back at the times where we didn't succeed at something. And we don't want to look at our past. We want to look at our future self that has it figured out. So for me, I've got some financial goals in my business. Well, I've never made these goals before. This is new. So my brain's like, is this pleasurable? Could it be painful? Is this efficient? So my brain's having a temper tantrum. So I just want to say, like, okay, brain. But when I look to my future self that has already met these goals, she's got some great advice for me. So that's one of the things that I want you to consider. I want you to look at your possibilities. Visualize yourself at the finish line of the race. I'm looking at myself, imagining what I'm going to look like at the end of this year when I've worked on this goal for 12 months. Or maybe you visualize yourself in the size pants that you want to be wearing. Imagine yourself when you've achieved that goal. And then what I want you to do is ask them some questions, because they've already done it and they know how you got there. Right now, you might not know how to get there, but your future self that has already achieved that goal, they've done it. So I want you to think about, what do they feel? What do they think? And what advice do they have for you? Sometimes I like to go to my future self and say, Chris Rich, I know that you've already achieved this goal that you've set. What advice do you have for me? And you know what she tells me? She tells me not to panic. She tells me to keep going and not to be discouraged when things don't go the way I expect, and that it's going to be totally worth it. Also, that it's going to be hard work, but not to give up. So I want to tap into her and listen to her instead of my past self that's never done the thing. And that can be super helpful. So if what I have shared with you has resonated, I would love for you to reach out. You can go to my website at chrisrichcoaching.com. I've got a bunch of great things on my website, different freebies, I've got a blog. I also have a podcast that's called the Mixed Faith Relationship Podcast. So as I mentioned earlier, I am a general life coach, and I also work with people in mixed faith relationships. So even if you're not in a mixed faith relationship, I think you'll find the podcast very helpful. You can use the examples that I share there and apply it to your own situation, because these are all tools that help anyone that has a human brain, and that's all of us. So I just want to thank you for joining me for this webinar today, and I would love, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. And I offer a free mini session for anyone that is interested in doing a mini session with me for free. And you can find that by going to my website and my calendar on there. And I just want to thank you for joining me and for your time. And I want you to remember with your goals that you are already a rock star. You're amazing, full of worth, and lovable and amazing exactly as you are right now. Let's take our goals and find out, let's set our goals with love and meeting ourselves where we're at, and then see where we go from there instead of setting goals because we're not good enough. And I want to promise you that if you do that, your goals are going to look totally different for you this time. Please reach out if you have any questions. I hope you guys have a great day. That's all for now.